Hi, Happy New Year to everyone. Each Christmas season, I watch a lot of videos, listen to a lot of podcasts, and read a lot to find inspiration for the new year. Like, what are the new thinkers? What are the new um thoughts or concepts, mental models that I haven't thought about, or maybe they will correct my mind. Like, what is the thing that I kind of learned, or maybe was mistaken the last year, and what can I kind of learn for the new year? So this year, I came across Daniel Schmachtenberger after dozens of hours of various podcasts and YouTube, and I think he deserves to be much well known. He is a part of some group of people who deal with projects. One of them is Neurohacker Collective. Another one, I think, is called Deep Code. Another one is like this. His Daniel's Schmachtenberger's personal blog is called Civilization Emerging, and I think there is another think tank. Deep Code is like a blog on Medium, but I think it also has some ambition to be a think tank or something like that. There are also some of those guys around him are involved in some blockchain, kind of very fundamental blockchain projects, like dealing with governance. So there is this DAO stack startup that is connected, but the main idea, or why I like him, why I like him, I think, is that he manages something that I was lacking in effective altruism a bit, and he manages it on a very clear and high level. Like, he manages to kind of engage in system thinking or systemic thinking. So it's like maybe thinking in like really complex systems, but very clearly and very deeply. I think this is like the main thing. So I would maybe say it's like two levels deeper than effective altruism in kind of thinking about consequences. So if effective altruism thinks about like extreme risks or existential risks or global catastrophic risks and how to deal with them. They kind of know that we are just talking about shifting the curve a little bit. So if you come up with some new technology or safer technology, you're kind of shifting the curve of like what might have happened otherwise, because there is this counterfactual thing. Like, okay, you come up, you invent penicillin, for example, but somebody probably would have invented penicillin without you. So maybe usually it happens like that. So there are a couple of scientists who actually work on similar things, and one guy invents something, and there is another guy completely unrelated who invents something in very similar in similar time, like maybe 2 years after him or in the same year. So then what you need to do, you need to subtract the counterfactual effects. So like, basically the difference you made, the positive difference as an inventor, is maybe 6 months. You moved the curve 6 months. So maybe the humanity would go extinct in 2050. So maybe thanks to your contribution, which actually is really great, maybe humanity will get another year to 2051 or something like that. So it's a huge contribution, but it still doesn't solve the fundamental problem. What Daniel Schmachtenberger tries to do is kind of come up at or find the root cause for all these existential risks. So he calls it generator function of all these existential risks. And I will maybe find time to discuss it. Just a little bit what I understand. For me, it's very fresh. It was maybe actually 2 weeks ago. Or a week ago, I haven't heard about the guy. So it's really fascinating to come across him. Maybe I will just start that each year I try to find some new thinkers that I already said. So in 2016 I watched loads of videos by Slavoj Žižek. Oh, he's also funny, but I don't know, I just found him inspirational for some reason. And I came across this guy, a French guy, who is a great inspiration to Žižek at some points. Some weird stuff, like some of the points that Žižek makes is by this guy is called Jean-Pierre Dupuy, and he's fascinating because he can connect this critical, theory to actually hard scientists, science to hard science to sciences to complex kind of complexity sense or to systems thinking a little bit. Okay, he does some job, a really good job. Especially there is this one thing which I'm fascinated about, and loads of people are fascinated about. Like Eliezer Yudkowsky wrote about it or wanted to write about it. It's called Newcomb's paradox or Newcomb's problem. It's like 100-year-old problem in philosophy, and I think this is really deep problem. It's about basically, maybe you should read about it. It's quite I think it wouldn't be easy to explain it in a couple of minutes, but the idea is how to be coherent, or how to be how to become a person who behaves in a certain way that is predictable, that has a long-term benefit, that is kind of maybe sacrifices something here and there in the moment, but it's consistent winning. So he plans to win consistently in a long term. It's not about winning in this one game, but it's consistently winning in all games. That's basically the kind of the solution to Newcomb's problem, which is a big kind of paradox, a really funny paradox. So you should check it out. So for me, this Newcomb's paradox was like something like huge, and I think it's still huge. Eliezer Yudkowsky, I think, talks for the solution to Newcomb's paradox is something like constant winning, like to choose to be a person who is a constant winner in all games. So you just don't prefer one short-term game to win. You win in one amazing game, you become the richest CEO, but then you lose all the other games, like your marriage is destroyed, or the environment, nature is destroyed, and this like that. So you try to win in all the games to be coherent or to consistent or something like that. I'm not sure if I should use the word coherent here, but I guess it's a good word to be used. So this was Jean-Pierre Dupuy in 2016. I like the guy. It was amazing that thanks to my friend, I inspired my friend Tomáš Uhnak. And he actually has this skill of actually doing interviews with people for different magazines, and so we did an interview with Jean-Pierre Dupuy about these questions, Newcomb's paradox, about the role of the sacred, about his mentor or friend René Girard, who is actually Girard, who is actually an inspiration and who was also a teacher or a mentor of Peter Thiel, which is very interesting. And and then it got published in A2, it's like A2 Alarm, it's a Czech magazine, and it's also in English, so you can check it out. So it was like a dream came true in 2016. So, but then 2017 we also some friends in Bratislava, or not friends, we are not friends, but some people like there's this guy Yanis and Martin and others, like they started to organize meetups for effective altruism, people who are interested in effective altruism. So I got engaged into that. I also co-organized those meetups, and I still am doing that. And in 2017, I think for me the biggest inspiration looking back at it might have been Slate Star Codex and the guy Scott Alexander. It's a pseudonym, or I mean it's not his real name, who writes this Slate Star Codex blog. It's a very known blog in some tech circles, or really kind of long form content with very well thought content. So maybe Meditations on Moloch, I think, is the most famous one, or one of the best articles, so you should read that first maybe. But then for me the biggest inspiration through him is this idea of conflict theory versus mistake theory. So like some people really operate in the zero-sum game kind of thinking, like I need to win for you to lose, or I don't know, for me to win I need you to lose. So my ideology needs to destroy your ideology, like this guy destroyed that guy, this and that. So it's like really this kind of conflict, like zero-sum game. And then there some people operate on this mistake mindset, mistake theory mindset. So it's not conflict theory mindset, but mistake theory mindset, meaning like maybe I'm actually wrong on many accounts, like many things. Maybe I'm less wrong than you. I don't know, but I'm definitely wrong in many accounts. You are probably mistaken. Also, by having conflict theory, I think you are mistaken because actually there could be win-win. Situations where I could learn something from you, you can learn something from me, but we all can learn something from someone else, and actually we could make better choices in our lives, but we could also improve our causation theory or our scientific approach to life, and so we can get better results, but we can also make better choices. So the different, like I don't know, instrumental rationality versus epistemic rationality. Yeah, so two different kind of fields that need to merge. But yeah, we can do better choices thanks to if we are less mistaken or less wrong. So that's the idea. And if you are operating in conflict theory, a lot of leftists like Marxists, I don't know what, it's not the idea to pile on Marxists or anyone, but the idea is like it kind of happens a lot that these people have this kind of mindset. So even I'm leftist mindset myself, I really would like not to have this conflict kind of theory. Like this group has to lose, like this tribe online has to lose, like this, I don't know, social justice activists need to lose for me to win or for someone else to win, or vice versa, conservatives need to lose for the other guys to win, or I don't know what. So it's really important like how to integrate all these approaches. So this would be my idea or my points. Is like yeah, if we could 2017 Slate Star Codex and the idea conflict theory versus mistake theory, that was maybe the biggest. There are a lot of things that okay, this is not related actually to effective altruism that much. Somehow it is, because we want to progress science and we want to be more altruistic and more effective in doing altruism. So of course it has some kind of relation, like we should be less mistaken, operate on better kind of frameworks or something like that. But okay, this is not directly related because effective altruism is not currently involved in any cultural wars or anything. But the idea that actually you should think more like to operate, it's better to think that other people are just wrong maybe, or less wrong or more wrong than you, but they are not your enemies, and don't engage in zero-sum games, engage in win-win games. That's a big idea. Okay, so that was 2017. 2018, and at the end of 2018, now it's 2019, so I came across this Daniel Schmachtenberger, and he talks exactly about this, and he talks about like kind of really you can listen to this 2050 podcast and you might get the idea. There are a lot of ideas to kind of wrestle on, but they are not complicated because he manages to explain them really clearly. So the idea about the generator function for all the x risks or all the existential risks or something, it's not that difficult to understand once I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a good job explaining it, but it's not that difficult to understand. It's basically there is exponential technology, and if there are rivalrous dynamics, people are behaving in zero-sum games, and they have some shitty technology like stones and or stone axes or I don't know what. They can destroy a lot. They can destroy a lot of nature. They can kill a lot of humans, but they will not self-terminate or they will not go extinct because they don't have this exponential technology. But while exponential technology is getting more effective and cheaper, meaning it can be more distributed, more groups, not just nation states, but other groups can have this kind of technology. Let's say the disinformation technology applied to social networks and AI applied to disinformation, deep fake videos, something like that. It's like also people can do it. It's not just nation states or some security agencies or something can do it. It's like it's getting cheaper. So the idea here is kind of clear. Or CRISPR, gene editing and biotech getting cheaper by the year, and maybe another 2 decades it will be much cheaper. That's the idea. So exponential technology is getting cheaper, more dangerous, more powerful. So technology, Daniel Schmachtenberger talks that technology is just a lever on our choice making. So if our choice making is shitty, exponential technology will do shitloads of damage. So that's the very basic idea. So exponential technology, according to him, will not go away. Like somebody will still kind of keep it, reinvented it, or just like, yeah, you can't destroy it. It's like the genie is out of the bottle. So all you can do is improve the choice making, and so the choice making is affected by rivalous or anti-rivalous dynamics. So for the whole history, like since the evolution, actually there was this micro rivalry that actually improved the that resulted in anti-fragility of the whole. So like Peter Thiel talks about the restaurants competing with each other, but the result, and they go bust all the time, but the result is great food for everyone, so it's kind of anti-fragility of the restaurant. But if you get rivalous behavior on the macro level, so now it's the countries competing with each other with nukes. You will not get anti-fragility on the macro level. You will get self-termination on the macro level. So it's something similar as, imagine if the Earth, we would occupy Mars and some other planets. I don't know. Imagine then you have, it's like viruses occupying different people, and evolution. What evolution does, according again to Daniel Schmachtenberger, he's explaining it, does well. It's not creating the hierarchies of dominance. Yes, that's one view, like the most dominant predator, apex predator. But if you zoom out, what the evolution does is it kind of balances the system, or looks for symmetry in nature to kind of balance the equilibrium. Why? Because if you are too aggressive, like if virus is too aggressive, it kills the host, let's say the human, but also the virus dies. So what survives are the less aggressive, less rivalous, less dangerous strains of that virus over time, so they win. So imagine if we had like 100 Earthies, so there would be like we could run this experiment, 100 different planets where people live. Some of them would go self-terminate because they are too aggressive, as a similar thinking to the to the virus kind of thing. So, and some of them would actually manage to survive and to protect the planet, and so that would be the less kind of dangerous or aggressive strains of the virus. So that's the idea. So therefore it's like, because it tries to solve the like the generator function of all the existential risks. So bio risk, biosecurity risk, AI alignment risks, nuclear proliferation, or nuclear winter risk, or these kind of things. So there are a couple of them. Some, I don't know, nano weapons, chemical weapons, this and that, loads of the risks. And what Daniel tries, I mean, it's crazy and maybe it's futile, I don't know, but it's just great to think about it clearly. It tries to solve the generator function of all those existential risks, which are actually rivalous dynamics. So what we need to create is anti-rivalous systems, but also they need to be anti-fragile to the current rivalous systems. So the idea is that the rivalry itself is a problem. It wasn't a problem before. The evolution was great. It helped to create anti-fragility, the same way as rivalry between let's say restaurants isn't a big problem. Maybe it creates great food, it creates anti-fragility in the system, but some rivalry in the whole system, like nations competing with each other, that's not the same thing. It doesn't create anti-fragility because these are too big and too powerful groups. Rivalry with exponential technology means basically self-termination. So we need to end this rivalrous behavior somehow. It's just really difficult, and create the new foundations of anti-rivalrous behavior, some like new technologies, but also new kind of ways of thinking, but also new kind of community. So you do it from bottom up. Let's say maybe something was like some kind of village startup hubs, or communities where people are really trying to build on these. I don't know, like not some kibbutzes or something, but something like Fab Labs, creating another Fab Labs, building something that Romer calls charter cities. So something like that, like building from really from the individual with the changed mindset that okay, I don't want to engage in rivalrous behavior anymore. I want to kind of really be creative, but really kind of think about the whole. Then creating some kind of communities, couples, I don't know, communities, but more like some kind of protected spaces where the innovation can flourish. Protected meaning they can be protected from those rivalrous dynamics, through basic income or through some stipend to learning stipend or something like that. Universal learning scholarship. I don't know. That's one of my ideas I read about on Medium. So do you have some kind of protected envelope, protected anti-rivalrous kind of system being born, and you can grow it like maybe if you don't operate in very rivalrous like big cities, something, maybe if you are in a countryside where nobody wants to go. It's like the idea is like the Santa Fe Institute, to create the Santa Fe Institute, for example, in Bratislava, not Bratislava, sorry, in Slovakia, in some really remote place where there are like post-industrial place where people are fleeing there and nobody wants to go there. You go there, people. You have like much cheaper, I don't know, rents or cheaper lands to build on and stuff like that. It's like that's like one of the ideas, like to move somewhere, maybe in some villages or some, and how to be anti-fragile to the system that is currently working there. And you pay maybe some scientists to actually support each other, help each other, don't fight each other for grants, but like actually build something alongside complex theory, system thinking, hard sciences, but also liberal arts, and build something that has these anti-rivalrous dynamics or incentives, or even not incentives, but mindsets in it. So Daniel Schmachtenberger, as a new guy to watch, I watched almost all videos I could, I think, but I need to read stuff. There are some two books that he recommends. One of them is Finite and Infinite Games. Another one I forgot. Another one is called Scale. If you Google Finite and Infinite Games, like a book, or if you Google Scale book review or Scale, that you will get those two books that he recommends a lot. And like watch all the podcasts you can with him, and you will get the idea kind of quickly. And then I think I still need to learn a lot of ideas. But then the next thing is, okay, like maybe we should work on these, like implement some of it. But for me, it made my thinking much clearer, like really 2 levels deeper maybe than effective altruism, which is pretty. It doesn't oppose effective altruism, but it's like kind of 2 levels more abstract, or meta existential risks kind of solving. So Happy New Year, and let's engage in these conversations with brand new thinkers like Daniel Schmachtenberger. Thank you.